In this video, we will discuss the development of RApp interoperability between the Child Protection module of proGres v4 and the CPIMS Plus module of Primero. The objectives of this video are to help you understand the project's vision and the overview of the project, for you to become familiar with the background of the interoperability project between Primero and proGres, and to explain the process for referral between Primero and proGres v4. And finally, to allow you to know the related information sharing and data protection considerations and documentation. The vision of the interoperability project between proGres v4 and Primero CPIMS Plus was to allow for real-time bidirectional information transfer between these two modules. That is the end goal around interoperability, to allow for efficient and seamless sharing of interagency child protection data, ensuring that UNHCR staff and CPIMS Plus users both have access to the information necessary to fulfill their mandates to protect children at risk in humanitarian context. We are currently in the first phase of this project, which is integral to the achievement of this overall vision. At this stage, we are working on the interoperability, building that initial bridge between the two systems to allow for data sharing to occur, as well as focusing on the functionality around referral information. So during this phase, it was also imperative that there was interagency agreement between all actors involved in the development to determine which data would be shared in what format for which purposes. And then, as we mentioned, the technical bridge that would allow for this information to be transferred between the two systems. This project is founded upon the idea that interoperability is a beneficial development for all the actors working on child protection. It is foreseen that the building of this interoperability between Primero and proGres v4 will allow for timely, safe information exchange that is needed to ensure that children and their families receive the protection and assistance they require. Interoperability will ensure and improve the experience of field staff who are using the two systems so that they work more seamlessly together and everyone, no matter what system they use, are able to get the information they need. It will improve the quality of service delivery for beneficiaries by allowing seamless, safe referrals between the two systems, and it will improve accountability for the responsible data use, where both systems will have accountability to the highest levels of data security. Well, this project has been in the works for many, many years, over 5 at least, and the vision has been a goal of both the proGres and the Primero teams. We've really started to make significant progress getting everyone on board to undertake this project starting around January of 2021, where the project teams were engaged in the work on the actual development and the use cases, so determining what would be the data to be shared and for what purposes we would create the interoperability began. By May 2021, these discussions resulted in some technical solutions developed. So the initial versions, we would call them beta versions or test versions of what had been outlined in documents and discussions, were actually technically developed by May 2021. And in June of 2021, we then began the testing of these solutions to make sure that they actually were meeting the needs of what we were hoping to develop. So that if we said we wanted a referral to go from one user to another and back, did the functionality that we had developed actually meet this need? And then after this initial testing, we undertook the first steps for the piloting of this offline system, which was the identified location for the piloting was going to be in Gambela of Ethiopia. And so all systems needed to be updated to the most newest versions in order to allow for the pilot to take place. So in 2021, Primero in Ethiopia was updated to the version 2, which is necessary for interoperability to be possible. In August of 2021, UNHCR v4 interoperability replication to RApp began, meaning that we began to develop the functionality for interoperability into the offline module. So now you can find the interoperability functionality in offline. That's also necessary due to the connectivity issues in the pilot location. And in September of 2021 began the joint kickoff for the pilot in Ethiopia. Now, the pilot is currently scheduled for November through January of 2022. So it's about 6 to 8 weeks, and this is where we are at the moment. So we are undertaking this initial pilot to see how the systems, the interoperability works between the systems, and receive feedback from those users to understand best if there are any additional bug fixes that need to happen before interoperability becomes a functionality that is more widely available. So when we create a referral for interoperability between the CPIMS Plus and proGres, if the top row here describes what the process is, if we were sending a referral from the CPIMS Plus user to proGres. So when the CPIMS Plus user is doing their documentation, they would create a referral, and in the referral, you have the option to refer to UNHCR or a UNHCR partner using V4. You would select the specific service for which you are referring to UNHCR and referring the case, and then the referral will pass from the CPIMS Plus to proGres V4, entering the UNHCR focal points case list. Once that happens, the focal point would acknowledge and accept the referral, which would then be fed back to the CPIMS Plus user so they know that someone has actually received and accepted, or they have the ability to reject the referral with a reason being given. So that would then notify the original CPIMS Plus caseworker that the case was not successfully referred because the person did not accept the referral. A similar process is used for the referral from proGres V4 to the CPIMS Plus user. The V4 user would send a referral to the CPIMS Plus user, creating an intervention in V4. Then the caseworker would select Child Protection Case Management Service for which they are referring the case. So you would say, is it for a BID? Is it for a BIA? Is it for the different options? That referral would then pass from proGres V4 to the CPIMS Plus, entering either the CPIMS Plus caseworker's case list. The CPIMS Plus caseworker would then either acknowledge and accept, similar to the V4 in the other example, in which case the proGres user would receive a notification that the referral was accepted, or they would reject the referral and the V4 person would then receive a notification that the referral was rejected with a short note indicating why the referral was not accepted. This is the process that is used for the CPIMS Plus and the referral from V4. When we developed this referral functionality, we knew that in addition to the technological solution, it was also still very important that there is information and data sharing protocols outlined in the context where the interoperability will be piloted or used. And there are specific circumstances under which the sharing of data will occur for referrals. And these circumstances are as follows. So when a case referral is made and the data that is related to that referral is included, it can only be done after that child or the caregiver has provided informed consent. This information is shared on a need-to-know basis and consists of a set of predefined standardized data points that are agreed upon to be necessary to complete a case referral. So we are talking about standardized referral forms that allow for just a basic set of data that would be necessary to minimize the unnecessary sharing of information beyond the scope of the referral. The next point is that before the information can be shared, an information sharing protocol must already be in place and agreed to by all of the participating agencies. Any agency that would be using the CPIMS Plus module or the CP module in V4 must all sign on to this information sharing protocol to ensure that they all have agreed to the mutually agreed upon protocol and processes. Primero and proGres also have an audit log functionality, which was necessary to ensure that a report could be generated to allow to see who has made the referral, who has received the referral and to allow for identification in real time of any misuse of the system. As part of this project, because we have developed new functionality and have linked two existing systems, it is really important that we undertake two key objectives around our data protection. The first is that we've undertaken a DPIA, or a data risk assessment, of how the interoperability impacts the data protection functionality of these two systems as a new modality. Does it have an additional impact upon data subjects, their protection of their data? And are there any remedial actions that could be taken if this was to be the case that could address these issues? This has begun in October of this year, and with the idea that any potential data protection impacts of this functionality could be addressed before the functionality goes live to beyond the pilot. This activity will also allow us to analyze the applicable governance documents. So as we develop this functionality, it is important that we have clear guidance documented around how the two systems and that the data that is shared between them are overseen, and how we can make sure that this is all clearly outlined. And so this documents will be informed by the findings of the data risk assessment. The development of the data sharing agreements based upon these findings would begin in late September. If you would like to see a full demonstration of this referral functionality, you can find one on YouTube at the following link. This will walk you through both on screens the referral from the CPIMS Plus to proGres v4 and the other way around. Thank you very much.